Okay, so today's agenda for our session is basically the charts, and these are not the usual charts, the bar chart or the pie chart that we were building till now. Okay, so we are going to go one step ahead from here. Okay, if you want, you can call them as the advanced charts, but or else I would label them as modern day charts that we frequently use these days. Okay, so let me just quickly start without wasting any time. The first chart, that is the box and whiskers plot. So the box and whiskers plot mainly is used to depict two things. Okay, first is to identify where my bulk of data lies, and secondly, to identify my outliers. Okay, so if I have to explain this one, let me just swap it so that you can see it better. So if you see here, the reason it is named as box and whiskers. So this is basically a box here. Okay, as you can see, and these are called as whiskers. So they are quite similar to, if I don't know how much you guys have closely observed the cats or lion or any animal from that particular family. So it's basically their mustache is like that. So that's why I've just rotated it horizontally so that you can see it better. Okay, so we call these lines as whiskers, and basically we have a box in between. Okay, and also if we have to study it even further, these are basically divided into quartiles here. So this one from here to here would be my first quartile. From here to here would be my second quartile. From here to here would be my third quartile, and from here to here would be my fourth quartile. Samir, I'm just muting you. I'm just getting some disturbances at your end. Okay. Okay. So these are basically divided into four quartiles, and whatever values lies above this are my, these are all my outliers. Okay, and yeah, that is pretty much it for this. And these lower, this is my lower bound here. Okay, minimum value, and this is my upper bound here. So those of you who are wondering why the values are going beyond this upper bound here, it's just that in the Tableau setting, I have set this as for the this particular box and whiskers. It is by default 1.5 of uh, the interquartile range. So the entire difference from Q2 to Q3 is what we call as interquartile range. Okay, so basically this is set as the upper and lower values are set as the 1.5 times of this range. That's why you can see the values going beyond this. If I set it as one only, then you'll see it here only. Okay. So let us quickly see how to build this box and whiskers plot. Okay, let me just have a new sheet. So in here, okay, so I have category wise sum of sales, right? So I'll take my category, then I take my sum of sales here. Okay, and I have done the order wise division here. Okay, let me just rotate it. So if I remove category, let me just start it this way. Okay, let me just restart it. So first I can put my order ID on details, and then I can do a sum of sales here in my columns part, or maybe in rows part. I want it vertically. Okay, and then uh, from here I can select my box and whiskers. Okay, as you can see, a box and whiskers plot has come up, and or else alternatively I could have selected circles from here, but that would give me only circles. So let me just select the entire box and whiskers from here. Okay. Okay, so this is one part, and then Yeah, so I wanted to see category wise division for this. Let me make this entire view. Okay, so as we can see, so there are three different distributions for furniture, office supplies, and technology. All three of them have pretty much different distributions here. Okay,
Abhishek, one question.
yeah, Ravi.
Any idea like backend, does it use any MLs, any machine learning algorithms, or is it just the
Um,
representation that is there?
for this, no, for
Mhm.
this, no. But in here, as you can see, we have analytics here.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so if we want, we can customize it, but not
Okay.
really in the box plot here. Okay, the customization that I told you is like uh, just a second. Mm, I can just trying to understand where is the can anyone see reference line part, or am I not able to see that?
Reference line is at the custom, in the custom one, right? You're saying?
Yeah, I just wanted to show you. You can actually build the uh, okay, just a second. Yeah. So from here, you can see you have box plot option here as well.
Okay.
Okay, right now it is grayed out. Otherwise, I would have shown you. You can explore this option as well. So we have line, band, and distribution option, and the fourth one is box plot. So you can create the box plot from here as well. Let me just see if I can show you that as well. So I'll let you know what I'm trying to say here. And if I can get it from here, yeah. Okay, so I can get it from here as well. Mm. And in here, as you can see, whiskers extend to data within 1.5 time of IQR. If we want, we can do it the maximum extent as well.
Okay.
Okay, let me make this to circle once. As you can see, we have it here as well. And let me just reduce the size of the circles. Okay, so right now it is the maximum extent. So we can see almost this 25 percentile of the values. Okay, these 25 percentile, if you see almost 25 percentile, I just took a bit more than that. So in here, if I use analytics, I can see box plot is still grayed out here. Okay, maybe some in some advanced analytics things we can do it, but in here there is no ML involved in the backend. Okay, it's just the like the other way it is creating the uh, visualization, the same way it is creating here as well. There is no backend involved as such on the ML end for creating the box plot. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. So as you can see, I was here. So let me just filter out on category. Let me just keep only this one. Oh, okay. Yeah, so let me just have furniture category only. So again, there can be various uses as I told you. One is the outlier. You can figure out all your outliers here. Okay, so till this point, and this particular point, as you can see, all these are your outliers. So these are really the values which are not depicting the um, real view of the data, real position of the data. Okay, so if you want, you can exclude these values from here. Okay, then you'll see it adjusting. Okay, again, these values are something that are not depicting uh, the real picture of the data. Again, you can exclude it. Let me just exclude these values as well. Okay, so the correct representation of the data is what you'll get. Uh, when you have the entire bands that start from the lower to the upper part, upper extremum. Okay, now you can see you have this for the furniture category, the box and whiskers available. And the way you can use it is, let's say you are somewhere here. Okay, let's say this is the category and this is the order ID. Okay, and this is in case of order. If we want, we can, let's assume this is a product here. Okay, this is a product ID rather than an order ID. So let's say if you are a product manager, then you can actually look out for, okay, currently I belong to this particular part in the sales. Let's say if I want to go ahead and let's say if I want to go to this particular point, then maybe I can just see, okay, whichever product this is, and maybe it can talk to the product manager and uh, can know the things that particular person is doing, so that the sale has come to that particular level. Maybe what are the right things that they are doing is what I can take it out of it, and then I can actually follow, or let's say devise a similar kind of strategy in order to push the sales of my product to this level. That can be one of the use cases. Again, in this case it is order ID, but same way we can take it for the product ID as well. So if I take a product ID instead of order ID, then you'll get to know what I'm trying to say. Okay, so now these are all product IDs. So this way, this can be one of the usage there. Okay, but the basic idea is to see the concentration of the data, where the bulk of my data lies. And the second is in order to identify the outliers. We use box and whiskers plot. Any questions on this? Any other questions on this? Okay, if we don't have questions, so let me just uh, I'm just opening up a new chart. Just give me a second. A new file is getting opened. Okay. Uh, so those of you who are involved in project management space and all, you must have heard about this Gantt chart, okay, or the Gantt bar, whichever way you may want to address it. Okay, so Gantt bar is basically it shows us how the things are moving for a particular, let's say in this case, a project, how the things are moving accordingly in order in alignment with the date part. So if you see here, I have taken one simple example. Okay, so it's for a basically it's for a data science project here. Okay, so I have made an example so that you can understand it better. Okay, so this is completely a different file out here. As you can see, my data collection is the first step in the data science project. So maybe let's say it takes me 20 days here. Okay, so it starts as you can see in the tooltip, start date is 1st of June 2016. So it starts on 1st of June and goes on till 20 days, as you can see. So it will end somewhere around 20th of June. Okay, but in the meanwhile, I had, let's say, some of the data collected with me, which was readily available to be cleaned from there onwards. So I started the same process on 12th of June. Okay, so as you can see, this bar is not starting at the end of this. Okay, so we are not actually waiting for the data collection to get finished so that we can clean it. We simultaneously started cleaning on the 12th day here. Okay, and it took us, let's say, another 14 days for that. Again, we didn't wait. We didn't really wait for the entire data to get cleaned. We started with our exploratory data analysis on 20th of June. Okay. While this process was about to end and this process was still going on, we started with whatever little data we had and let's say later on we can just update it with the updated data there. Okay, let's say we are working with extracts, something like that. And when we were doing this analysis, then for the data model building, we had good enough data exploration by the end of, let's say, 10th day here. So we started with the building model process here. And by the time we were building our model there, it will take us 10 days, another 10 days. But before that, let's say on the 7th day itself, we had kind of a rough sketch of model that was readily available for us. And we continued to build, or let's say started analyzing results on that. And simultaneously, while analyzing it, we also started visualizing it. So both of those things were going simultaneously, parallelly together, and we were seeing, not only analyzing but also visualizing the results. And also, while we were in the mid of this process, we also started the report preparation part. Okay, and the finally communicating the results. Okay, might start from like when it is ending, but okay, for now you can. I just want you to understand the idea rather than getting into deep into the modeling part here. So this is just a randomly created data from my side. So the basic idea here is to track the entire project, how it is going on, okay, and when it is starting. So the starting of the bar is indicating the start dates of the project, and the length of the bar is indicating the time taken to complete that particular step. Okay, so this is how it is going with, and also this is in this. So the one main part here is like it can go on and on. Okay, it can go on and on, provided that the other step is not completely dependent on the first one. Okay, there can be things like that can be done only after one thing can be finished or is finished, but simultaneously also the processes can go on. As we can see here, data cleaning is simultaneously going on while the data collection is still on. Similar to this, exploratory data analysis is going on while the data cleaning is in place. So all these things can be simultaneously existing at the same time. Okay, so that is one uh, main thing that we need to consider here, because when we'll see the funnel chart, we'll find out that the each subsequent process is dependent on the previous one. Okay, so we need to carefully understand this difference. Like this is how we are building our Gantt bar, and in the funnel chart, since each next step is dependent on the previous one, then we are using the funnel chart there. We'll see in some time. Okay, so let's see how to build this. Okay, so we have start date here in our. I need the exact start date. So okay, and second thing is my steps in the rows part, as you can see. Okay, so first step is to get the start date in the column, and then second step is to get my steps in the rows here. Okay, so by default it is selecting the Gantt bar here. Okay, but when you will do it for the first time, it will give you something like this, a bar chart. Okay, but since I've already created two Gantt bars here, so Tableau is smart enough to recognize, okay, that I might be making the third one as also a Gantt bar. That's why it has automatically selected the Gantt bar here. Okay, otherwise you have to select the Gantt bar from here. Okay, so once we are done with this step, now we have time taken in days that we have in our data. Need to put it in the size part. Now we can see the sizing is done. In order to uniquely identify these steps, I'll put the steps in the colors as well, so that I can identify by seeing the colors which step is going on. And as you can see, the final step that is remained is basically sorting this. Okay, so I'll sort these steps from here. And how do I sort it? I'll sort in the ascending order by the field. What is the field? It is time taken only, but rather than sum, I need The minimum there. Rather than time taken in days, I need start date here, and I need the ascending one, minimum. Okay. Now I have my Gantt bar available. I can just simply put it to entire view, and you can see I have the same one, and maybe time taken in days I can put on labels. As you can see, I have 20, 14, 20. Okay, I have this time taken here in the labels part. Any questions on this? Anyone, any questions? Are we clear with like why we are using the Gantt chart and how to build it? Okay, since okay, okay, let me just go ahead then. Just give me a moment. I need to get back to that same file again. Okay. Okay, let me just, before covering this waterfall chart, let me just start with the easier part there. Okay, maybe just give me a second. Yeah, we can start with this maybe. Yeah. So the next chart that I want to cover is the tree map. Okay, so I'll quickly cover three visualizations in succession. One is tree map, one is bubble chart, the other one is word chart. So kind of building all three of them, the steps are quite similar. That's why I'll cover each one of them one by one so that uh, we are in line and we can understand them better. Okay, so those of you who remember that these are my auto-generated fields here. Okay, so I'll be building a tree map considering all these values here and all these values here, basically all these values here, because I'm not going to put any of these into our view here. So let me just start with the measure names first. So I'll put my measure names into the colors part, and then I put the measure values in the size part. So now as you can see, I have my all the measures. Okay, so whatever measures I have created here, or like whatever was available here, all of them has come here. Okay, so this is the easier part. Again, if you want to, okay, let me just finish this one, then I'll come back to how you can build it individually as well. So this way I have my tree map coming up here. And let's say if I want to show variables on it, values on it maybe. So let's say I want to show my profit. So currently, as you can see, so all these measure values depending upon, see if this orange one is what sales value. So let me just put sales on the labels. So this is giving me sales everywhere. Okay, so this is my sales part here. And let's say if I want to see profit as well, I have profit as well. And let's say I have quantity, I want to see quantity, I can put in quantity as well into the label. So this is one way to make a tree map here. Okay, I'll just quickly cover three of them, then I'll tell you how to make it individually as well. So just give me 5 minutes more, and then I'll take up the questions there. The basic idea that I want to tell is how to create it first. Okay, so this is the way it will pop up automatically. If I change from here to automatic, right now it's square, to let's say circles, it will give me a packed bubble chart. And the same way, if I change it to let's say text, it will give me a word cloud here. Okay, currently it is not giving me the correct one. I'll let you know why. But if you can see, this one is the sales part here. Since we don't have any uh, dimension mentioned here. That's why it is not giving me correctly. But the basic idea that I want to tell here is like you can make the selections from here. If you make it square, you'll get a tree map. If you make it a circle, you'll get a packaged bubble chart. And if you select text, then you'll get a word cloud. All three of them will convey more or less the same insight. Okay, and then they can be replaced or rather used interchangeably. Now let me just come back to each one of them and let us start with the tree map. In here, I have created a tree map. Let me just have a new one. So let's say I want to see category wise. So I'll put category on colors and let's say profit on the size part. Okay, so if you see, the idea is still same. So the steps are still same. It's just that earlier I was taking measure names here now and measure values here. Now I'll take it and build it for a specific measure and specific dimension and specific measure now. Okay, I can do same thing with, let's say, subcategory wise I want to see. So I'll put subcategory on colors. And again, let's say I want to see profit on size. Okay. And let's say if I want to see the numbers here now, like I can put in profit numbers here. Let me just first put the subcategory name here. Then let me just put the profit numbers here. Okay. And this way I have my chart ready here. Okay. If I want, I can put, let me just take out subcategory from colors and I'll have a plain tree map here. Okay. Now coming to its usage, when can I use it? So as you can see, the size here represents the profit here. Okay, and let's say I want to see some other variables as well. So when I want to see uh, a lot of insights or a lot of, let's say, variables or dimensions in a particular chart, so we can use this one. So let's say how much can we analyze it? So one dimension that we can see is through the labels. The other one is that we can see through the text here with the numbers part. Okay, then I can see the size part as one dimension. As you can see, sum of profit is represented by the size of the box. And let's say I want to see through colors as well. So colors, let me put it to colors. Now you can see the darkest it is. That means the more amount of sales there. Okay, so the color is one more mention that I can do. Sorry, dimension that I can do here. Okay, so I am pretty much analyzing four different dimensions in a single chart. Okay, so this is kind of a usage of a tree map. Similar to this, again, you can instead of this, you can build a bubble chart as well. Let me see. Yeah. So the same if I select a circle now, I'll make it as a bubble chart. And same if I select it as a text, I can, okay, let me just remove the numbers from here. Yeah. So now again, I can see the bigger it is, the larger the profit in that. So copiers has the most amount of, or yeah, copiers has the most amount of profit, but the darker it is, the more amount of sales here. So phones has the more amount of sales. So again, pretty much steps are similar. If you don't want to do it subcategory wise, let's say you wanted to do it category wise, you can just place category on top of it. And now you have the entire analysis category wise. Same way, if you want a tree map, select square. If you want a packaged bubble chart, select circles. And if you want a text word cloud, then select text. Now I'll take up the questions. Anyone, any question here?
Yeah, Abhishek, Madhu this side.
Yeah, hi Madhu.
I can you bring back the subcategory once more?
Yeah, sure.
Uh, can you hover around the tables, the smallest one, just below furnishings?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
profit.
it has a negative profit.
Right. So for the others like automatic or bubble chart, In the lower right corner, it was showing us one negative, but here it doesn't give me that, uh, let's say, warning, if I usually use that word. So in to
Yeah.
what,
Hmm.
right? So I was just
Continue,
trying to
continue.
check how. So if I'm say doing a word cloud, I would not understand that one of the attributes has something negative. But if I'm doing a bubble chart or that tree thing, then it is telling me that one negative. Probably I would want to go back and recheck my data.
Okay. So first thing would be like whenever we are creating any visualization, we are anyways doing the data validation part. And for every visualization, we can just simply right click and do a duplicate as cross tab. Okay, whereby we can always see our data values here. Okay, this is available for all the visualizations that we have. Okay, so anyways, first of all, first part of this question would be like we can anyways we are going to do the data validation part, so we can check in there. Now let me just uh, answer the second part of it. So with every visualization, there is a particular backend code that has been running there. And maybe for this one, it's on the Tableau end. In this one, they are just depicting it with the size. Okay. But let's say for a circle, as you were saying, one negative, it was giving me the value. For this one, it is maybe since it is not the text here, sorry, since it is not the text here, right? There is a particular visualization, and for a visualization, we might need a number there. That is why for the visualization part, it is giving me one negative, but for the text part, it is not giving me that particular warning. I can think of this as a possible explanation.
Yeah,
Like if
that's
you
correct.
select any, yeah.
So like you said, we should definitely do a data validation when we are embarking on, doing the analysis. That's a good way, but probably say I missed it somehow. So is it a good practice? And I am planning to do a word cloud. So in that case, is it a good idea to create when I create the word cloud to also do say a tree map to check if any data discrepancy or data integrity issues are there?
See, I would recommend rather than a tree map, you can just have a duplicate as cross tab option and then you can see it. And let's say if you want to, let's say don't want to show it here, you always have the option of clicking it and excluding it from your data there, from your visualization rather. So not necessarily you have to create a tree map or a bubble chart for that. See, the basic idea that I told about all these three charts here, one by one, is like they follow quite a similar process in order to make them. Okay, it's just a matter of some clicks from here that it would change here. Otherwise, they follow the similar method. Tree map, square, package bubble, you need circles, and for the text, for the word cloud, you need text. So more or less the method is same, just the clicks are a bit different there. Okay.
Thanks, Abhishek.
Okay. I hope that was useful and I answered it. I hope I answered it.
Yes, yes. That so my concern was the cross tab that came to my mind, but say I have a huge data set, then it might be difficult to scroll through and easy to miss. And
Then,
probably I was
anyways,
just
I
thinking
can, I
about a
can,
warning. So the tree map
yeah, I
or
can tell you a solution to that as well. Maybe you can just put the profit in ascending or descending order on all
uh,
those negative values. Maybe control and click there and maybe uh, just like whatever selections you want to do, you can do those selections and maybe exclude the data for those values. You can do it this way as well.
okay, understood.
Okay. So the next chart that I have is the waterfall chart. Okay. Mm, yeah. Yeah. So if you see this chart, just want to first explain you this and then we'll see how to build it. So basically in here, in a waterfall chart, what we are trying to figure out is we are trying to eventually figure out the contribution of each component in the net or final position. So let's say if my total profit for the year 2013, yeah, 2013 is 3,07,415. Then what is my, in this case, what is my month-wise contribution is something that I'm trying to figure out. Okay, so if I see here in the January month, the contribution was 10,307. In the February month, the contribution was 15,095. In the March month, it was 17,993, and so on and so forth. Let me just get rid of these values for now so that we can understand. So as you can see now, this is for January and this is for February here. Okay, and if you add these two values here, you can see it will add up to, I can show you that as well. So if you see, it will add up to okay. So it is okay. So these values are eventually the profits here, the individual profits here. So these are basically running sum total here, but we are getting more amount here, the running sum of, because it is the running sum of profit, and in the text value I have put, as you can see, sum of profit. Okay, that's why it is giving me more amount here, but it is eventually 25,000 only. I'll let you know once I build it what I'm trying to say here. But the overall understanding is to understand the each component's contribution in the final position. That is the basic idea here. Okay, so let's say instead of uh, let's say I want to see March as well, then if I can see 10,000, 15,000, 17,000, it's around this value only, 43,395. Let's say if I want April also, then I can see it's almost 60,000 for these values. So this is how I want to, let's say, analyze my values for each successive month with their individual contributions to the final position there. Okay, so let me just take this out. So this is what we target to build now, and let me have a new sheet. And what I need is order date, and what I need is months. Okay, and now what I need is my profit. So I want to see my profit. Okay, so by default, whenever it's a timeline, as we remember, whenever it's a timeline, it will give me a line chart. Okay. Okay. So in here from the mark shelf, I need to select from automatic. Instead of automatic, I need to select the Gantt ones. Okay. Also, next step would be to select the running totals from here. Okay. As I told you, I wanted to see the running sum here. Also, next would be from the analysis part. Let me just see the grand totals as well. Okay. And also in the meanwhile, let me just put order date year into the filters part. So I'll analyze for only 1 year for now. Okay. Let me just open this sideways. Okay. So that we know which year we are targeting. The next step would be, okay, so having my sum of profits into the size part. Now, as you can see, I have my individual contributions here. If I put on the text here, so this is what I was trying to say earlier. Okay, what was the values that I selected here? 13. Okay, let me just get back to 13 in order to be consistent with our data. So in there, it was showing me these two values here. Okay, 10,000 plus 15,000 that was there. That was running. That is why running sum was coming around 35,000. But if you see, let me, if I change the label to, let's say, profit only, instead of this is currently the running sum of profit. If I change it back to sum of profit, now you can see this was what I was talking about earlier. So although this is adding up to 25,000, 420, something like that, 422. But it is still giving me the sum here of the running sum. Okay, because that is the default property of Tableau. Okay, so this is what we were trying to do earlier. Let me just have this only here. Okay, I want to see the individual profit is. Uh, also, if you see, there is one catch with this particular graph here. Okay, so can anyone wants to try, like, what is one thing that is missing in this particular graph? Anyone who wants to give it a try? Okay, your data science and statistics might not give you the answer, but your geography might give you the answer. And let me just give you this as the hint. No one wants to
The
try?
grand total origin is at 300K.
Yeah. So is that a correct thing?
I was about to tell you this when you would have asked for questions. This doesn't
Okay,
seem.
right. That is actually the correct thing. You figured it out. So as we know, like our water falls to gravity there. Okay, so all these graphs also needs to be starting. So the each point of the next bar should be starting from the uh, ending of the previous one. Okay, so we have a Tableau hack for that. So what we are going to, so this is the first time that I'm going to show you guys this thing. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to double click here and just put a negative sign in front of it. Okay, now as you can see, now this seems correct here. So each successive bar is starting from uh, the ending point of the previous bar, as you can see. Okay, those of you who don't believe me can check it afterwards. Each bar would be correctly placed there only. I'm quite sure on that. Okay, so this is a commonly used Tableau hack here. Again, if you got to ask me a reason behind it, there is no particular reason. It's just a Tableau trick there. Okay, so that we can start it from the very beginning there. Okay, starting from the zero part here from the axis. And now we have the uh, our waterfall chart available exactly like we had in the previous one. Now the beautification and the sprucing purpose is something that you can do while adding it to the colors and all. Okay, you can play around with that, but the basic idea about the chart, like each individual bar is showing us successive sorry, each individual bar is showing us the contribution in the final position is what we wanted to see. If I want, I can see it for all as well. If I want, I can see it for 12 or any other value. If I want, let's say not month wise, but let's say subcategory wise, I can do that as well. Okay. Any questions on this? Anyone, any questions? Okay. So the next chart that I have is the Pareto, sorry, the uh, funnel chart here. Okay, so since I talked about the funnel chart while we were having the Gantt bar, the only difference in the funnel chart is that each successive step is dependent on the previous one. Okay, so we have basically this is used to funnel out the data. So in here I have a data of the website leads conversion here. So if you see, it starts with 50% of the people hit the website, then 25% downloaded the link, then 16% uh, view the sale contract, and then There was a purchase on, sorry, there was a quote sent to 5.7% and finally 2% people purchased it. So basically the funneling is being done here on this kind of data here. Okay, so idea is to see the data, how it is getting filtered across over a period of time. Okay, so let us see how to build this one. So we can put our number of prospects is what I have as my measure, and then I have phase as my, I can put into the colors part. As you can see, I have a stacked bar chart, okay, based on the phases here. Okay. Now what I have to do is next step here would be again the number of prospects is what I want on size, and let me make it entire view once. Now I want to sort out this data. So how would I do that? I'll go to the phase part. I'll go to the sort part. I'll sort it by the field. Okay. I want it to be descending. Okay. The field name that I wanted for the sorting is the number of prospects only, and the aggregation that I want is sum only. Okay. Because I have that aggregation only here. Some number of prospects here. So the same I need to select here as well, and I want it to be sorted into descending order. Okay, and the method here is field value is what I have selected here. What is that field value? Number of prospects. Okay, so I have my funnel built here. Now what I need is, let's say I want to see my phase on the labels part. Also, let's say I want to see my number of prospects on the labels. So you can see, so let's say there would be a total of how many, I am not, okay, so the total of, out of the total, just a second. Yeah, out of the total 11,706 prospects there, 5,770 actually hit the website, 3,030 downloaded. Again, I think that would be some sales contract, and then some sales contract after that. A quote was sent to 670 people, and final purchase was made by 295. Better way to depict this would be converting these numbers to percentages. So how can we do that? Quick table calculation from here. That is percent of total. Now I have the same chart percentage wise. So let's say if you want to see these numbers as well, as you can see, it is currently in the labels part. I have unchecked this option of allow labels to overlap other marks. That is why these marks are not coming up, because again they'll overlap somehow and they are very small in size here, the boxes which would contain them. Even let's say if I click on them, you can see these things are opening up. I mean overlapping up each other. Let's say I don't want that, and let's say maybe I can show it for the fourth one. So what I can do is I can just simply right click on this fourth one. I can go to the mark label and make it always show. So this way at least I have it for at least one of them rather than not having for two of them. So there are two ways to do that. You can just select it from here, or else you can select it from here. Okay, depending upon which way you want to do it, or let's say in here, like in this case, you could have shown at least for one. So that is why we did it with the second method. Okay, and let's say even still, if you want to show this one, you click on this, go to annotate, go to point. Let's say you want to show this annotation here and make it show here like this. Okay, final one. Okay, this is how we can show it. I think maybe the aggregation here is not sum of prospects, but what we did here. So let me just try out. So basically you need to put this one there and you'll get it, you'll get the percentage number as well. Or else you can manually type there as well. As you can see, you can manually type there. Like whatever purchase, right? How much, I don't know, 5% maybe. something like that. You can edit, and likewise also you can mention. Okay. So this is our basic funnel chart, or the normal one. The other one is the smooth funnel chart. It is also quite similar to that, but in here, the depiction is, I mean, a slightly different. That's it. That is the only difference there. So let us see this one as well. As you can see, again, phase on the rows. Then I have my number of prospects here. Okay, and then I need to select area from here. So earlier we selected what? Earlier we didn't select anything. Now we are selecting area from here. Okay, and now let me just sort it. Again, same thing. Field would be there, and number of prospects, and aggregation would be sum. Okay, I want it to be descending, not ascending. Okay. So now in here, so I have half of my image here. So the first trick which what we used in waterfall chart there, we are going to use the same trick here. So what are we going to do now would be, let's say I'll have a calculated field with me. I'll name it as uh, proxy 2. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this number here, and I'm going to put a negative sign in front of this. Again, this is for the beautification purpose, and I'll put it before this. Now you can see I have the other side of the image as well. You can see the timeline. This is going negative here. Just to beautify it a bit is like I have done this step here. And again, if you got to ask me like what is the reason we put the negative sign there, there is no particular reason. It's just kind of a Tableau trick there. Okay, now I can place this. So I want to put it, let's say, on the right side. So I'm using the second one. If I put it, if I want to put it on the left side, I'll use the first one. So what I mean is, let's say phase, if I want to put it on the left side, I'll use this one. If I want to put it on the right side, I'll use the other one on the labels. If I want to put it on the both sides, then I use the all option here. Why I'm showing you this, I'll show you the same thing in the donut chart as well. Let's say I don't want it on the left side. Let me take this one out, and let me get the again the number of prospects on the labels. Again, let me, okay, this is on the left side now. I don't want on the left, I want on the right only here. And then let me just select quick table calculation, again percent of total here. Okay, so I have the same visualization here, but represented visually represented a bit differently. That's it. Again, this is also funnel chart. The previous one was also funnel chart. Just again, diagrammatically, it is a bit different. That's it. Conveying the same insight, and mm, in order to make them both of them, the steps are different. That's it. Okay. Are we good with this? Anyone, any questions on this? Any questions from anyone? Okay. Okay, let me just get into uh, the previous sheet only. Okay. So one of the most important charts, okay, and kind of on the difficulty level, one of the most difficult ones to build in Tableau is the Pareto chart here. But once we understand the steps here, uh, I don't think it would be that difficult. Okay, so let us just start with this. I'll go very slow with this particular chart, and if at any point of time you don't understand any step, just ask me right away. But I'll make sure that I'll explain it in a way so that there are least number of questions there. But still, if you don't understand anything, I'll recommend stopping me and asking me then and there, because the number of steps involved in order to build this are too much. Okay, so let me just have a new sheet. So I'll start with, okay, let me just first give an introduction to this first, rather than directly building it. So if you see, so the name of the chart is Pareto chart, again, given by mathematician cum economist Wilfred Pareto. So what it tries to say here is, so in general, a large number of changes are due to very few events. Okay, so this is the idea behind the Pareto chart here. So even if, so let me just take an example there. So you'll see a large number of wealth. Again, that's something from the economics part there. So large number of wealth is concentrated on in a few hands there. Okay, so again, pardon me if my stats are wrong there. So if you see in India, uh, almost 93% of the wealth is controlled by top 1% there. Okay, so we also call it as 80-20 rule. It's not a hard and fast rule of 80-20. It can be 60-40, it can be 30-70 as well. The basic idea that we are trying to convey here would be like a large number of changes are due to a fewer events only. So this is the basic idea behind this particular chart. Okay. So
Sorry.
any question there, Samir?
No, sorry.
Okay. Okay, let me just start with this. So I have my customer ID. I'll put it in the columns part, and then I have my sales in the rows part. So this is my basic idea, or let's say the first step, how to start in order to build this particular chart. Okay, so the next step would be I want to see the running sum of all these. So instead of sum, I'll have my running sum now. Okay, and I'll make it as entire view. Okay, so this is how my running sum is going on and should be this way. Okay, till here, I'll call it as, again, this is the first part here that we need to understand. So we have customer IDs, we have sum of sales of those customer IDs, and we take the running sum of that. Any questions still here? So this is my base level preparation for the Pareto chart here. Okay, so as you can see on my x-axis, I have my customer IDs, and on my y-axis, I have my running sum of sales, which is going till millions. But in the original chart, as we saw, we had percentages on both the axes. Okay, so since we have already done a calculation here, quick table calculation, running total, we cannot do any other calculation in here. So what we are going to do is, the other way to do it would be to edit this table calculation. And if you remember when we were earlier exploring it, I told you the secondary calculation option is something that we are going to explore once we go to the advanced charts part. So let me just select the percentage of total from here. And now, as you can see, the moment I selected it, all these were converted into percentages. Okay, all the values on y-axis are converted into the percentages. Okay. One important thing that I need to be very careful with is, so if you remember the compute using part, which I explained earlier. So in Tableau, the computation is either across the table or down the table. Okay. But in here, I want it to be across the table only. So that's why it is selected across both ways. So across the table would be on the customer ID level here. Okay. But as soon as, so I need to convert this as well, right, into the percentages. So the moment I'll convert these as percentages, these customer IDs would no longer be available on the x-axis. But I want the calculation to be done on customer IDs itself only. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select the specific dimensions from here. and I want it to be done on the customer ID level only. Okay, I'll repeat myself. When I change this into the similar kind of exercise that I'll do here, okay, like the way I did a table calculation and secondary table calculation here, it changed to percentages. Similar way, this customer ID part will also change to percentages. Okay, and the customer IDs will no longer be available in my x-axis. So Tableau would not be able to figure out, in order to do the table across calculation there, it will not be able to figure out the customer IDs here because they will no longer be available at that time. So I need to make sure it needs to be done on the customer ID level only. That's why I have selected specific dimension customer ID in the first place itself. Now, even if anything is there on the x-axis, it doesn't really matter me. Okay, what I need is the customer ID, which I've already selected here. Okay. Any questions on this? Anyone, any question on this? Are we good with the part why we are using the specific dimensions here? Okay, let me just move ahead. In case if we still don't follow it, let me just move 2 steps further. You'll get it what I was trying to say. Okay, so now I'll do the same thing here as well. Okay, first I'll take the count distinct here. Okay, and the moment I take the count distinct, it has read out this area. Why? Again, because in Tableau, there is nowhere that customer ID is present now on the table. Okay, so this was the problem I was telling you earlier, because this doesn't know now where to take the customer ID from. So let me just, I hope you're getting my point. This was the thing that I was mentioning earlier. Now this part doesn't know where to take the customer ID. So what I'll do is I'll put the customer ID into the details part. Okay, now it knows, okay, I have customer IDs in the details, so it will take the customer IDs. So what I'm trying to say is if I remove this one, there is nowhere in this visualization customer ID which is present here. That's why I'm just putting the customer IDs into the detail part here, so that now Tableau knows, okay, we have customer ID here, I can take it from here. Now I'll come back here, I'll do the same steps. I'll do a quick table calculation, I'll do a running total. I'll go back, I'll do a edit table calculation. Again, I have a secondary calculation. I'll take a percentage of total. Again, I'll take specific dimension, customer IDs, specific dimension, customer IDs, and then I'm good. So the same steps that I followed earlier is what I have followed now. Now the final step that is there is I need to just sort this. How am I going to sort this? Field value. What is the field value? Sales. Sum of sales only, but I want the descending ones. Okay, so I have the same Pareto chart which I had in this one in here. So the only thing is, if you want, you can just decrease the length here or increase the length here, whichever way you want to do it. I'll leave it to you. Now, any questions, anything that you didn't understand? Anything you want me to repeat?
So Abhishek, here, essentially what we are saying is the first 30% of the distinct customer IDs actually have a sales value of around 80%, right? That's what we're trying to indicate here.
Yeah. Correct.
Okay, so and so on and so forth. I mean, whatever point you take, it will be the same similarly. Okay, so percentage of got it. That's the only thing I had.
Yeah, around 30% of the customers, as you can see, 30% of the customers are contributing to around 80% of the sales. So I told you, right, 20-80 rule, it's not a hard and fast rule. The idea here is larger changes. So basically, if you see a few of my customers only, these 30% customers only are giving me around 80% sales. That is usually the case in the real life world as well. So it is kind more of an observation there. Like if you want to, let's say, increase your sales, you can actually, rather than you can leave your other 70% of the customers and you can try, let's say, pushing more values, more products to these particular customers, and you can focus on these customers because these are getting you more amount of sales.
And is there a way and how can we actually know which customers are actually providing this quantum? Is there a way to export
Okay.
the list of
Okay.
files directly from here?
Okay. I thought you will be knowing the answer to this. Okay.
I know, but that's the kind of question that needs to be asked here. So.
Okay. So let's say I have the customer ID list now. Okay. Uh, I can create a dashboard here. So just to give you a bit more introduction on the dashboard side. So this is my dashboard sheet here. I can have this visualization here, and then I can have the other visualization with the customer IDs. And all I need to do is I can just filter out through these values. As soon as I, let's say, get all these 30% customers of mine. Okay, these are giving you the values here. So these are your 5 to 7 zeros, and you can get these values here. Okay, you have all the customer IDs list for these customers that you need to work on.
And right now this is sorted based, sorry, and right now this is sorted based on the maximum sales value to minimum sales value, correct? The customer IDs are sorted.
Yeah, we did the sorting part, right? On the sum of sales ascending order.
Right. Okay.
Sorry, descending order there.
Yeah, descending order. Got that.
Okay, so this is how you can figure it out. This way it can be a again a use case there. Anyone else? Any question on this? Any step that is not clear?
Hi, Abhishek, Bhavna this side.
Yes, Bhavna.
Yeah, Abhishek, actually, so I have a confusion. Like while you were doing that quick table calculation, so for the sales part, you took specific dimension as customer ID, right? While you were doing
Yes.
the quick table calculation for the sales part.
Yes.
Okay. So then after that, when you were doing the quick table calculation for the customer ID, in that also the specific dimension was customer ID, right?
Yes. Because for
So,
customer ID as well, it is no longer available now. If you see, let me just edit this. So if you see, if I do it table across now, then also the percentages values have come up now. So let me just write table across. See, if I make a table across in both of them, it will be a straight line because it doesn't know really like how to do this calculation. It will be based on that only. So that's why we need on the customer IDs as well. The table calculate in the editing part. So we need specific dimension customer ID only in the customer IDs as well, because there also it will be percentages after that. So the same idea, the same reason we did it here for the customer IDs, the same reason we did it here as well. The same reason we did it for the sales, same reason we are doing it for the customer IDs as well. Okay, and the red part that happened in between was because there was no customer ID available at that time. If I still remove this from here, both of them will be, now you can see both of them are red. Earlier, only this one was red. But since I have selected, as you can see in the table calculation, customer ID here, that is why it is red. If I make it across, it is green back again. Okay, because this is no longer using customer ID anywhere in its table calculation. That's why it is giving me red values.
okay, okay.
Okay.
Yeah, okay, got it.
Okay. Anyone, any other question? Okay. If you don't have any question, let us move to, I want to cover two more charts. I think then we'll be done for the day. So the first one is the donut chart here. Again, the donut chart is again the representation, again representing the same insight that you get from a pie chart. It's just that these days, again, if you want to put it in a very cruel way, you can call it that pie charts are a bit outdated there. So donut charts look quite cool on the other hand. So you can actually use the donut charts in lieu of the pie charts there. So again, representing the same kind of insights there, but building it, the method would be a bit different. So let us see how we can do that part. So in order to build a donut chart, so it's quite similar to building a, again, the initial part is quite similar to building a pie chart. We'll only arrive at a donut chart from building a pie chart only. So what we can do is from here, we can select a pie first. And let's say I want to make it segment wise. Where is the segment? Or rather segment has lesser values. Let me make it ship mode wise. Okay, so we have 4 ship modes, and let's say we want to see the, let me take the sales in order to avoid any negative values. I want to see, so I can put the sum of sales on the angle part here. And let me just make it to entire view so that it is bigger there. And as you can see, my ship mode is on my colors. Okay, so each color representing a different ship mode. Blue represent first class, orange represent same day, red second class, and then the green standard class. Okay, so this way I have my pie chart ready here. Okay, so how it would be a bit different. So till here, if I want to have a pie chart, these are my steps in order to have a pie chart. Okay, instead of, let's say if I want not on ship mode but on subcategory, I can put the subcategory here on the ship mode. Then I have subcategory wise. But just to make it a bit simple, let us start with this one only. Okay, so again a new trick here. So this trick is called as a fake access trick in Tableau. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just double click here in the columns part. I'll write 1. I'll hit enter. Okay, as soon as I hit enter, all 4 of them will separate out. What I have to do now, I need to select from the aggregation the minimum part. Okay, and again, as you can see, my pie chart is back now. Okay, any questions on this? So this is again a kind of a trick, and let me just increase the size a bit. Okay, so again, this is a kind of a trick that we can use in order to create a donut chart. Now what I have to do is I'll just press Control, click on this, and I'll create one more here. Okay, why is it not coming up? Okay, let me just type in there then. Same way. Again, minimum. I have the same pie chart available here as well. So now you can see we have 2 pie charts of the same size and same insights, everything that is same. So how I have done is double click here, write down 1 as a calculation, and then selected minimum from the measures. Okay, so once I do this, so I have 2 pie charts now. Now what I have to do is I want to merge these 2 charts. Okay, anyone wants to try? How can I merge these 2 in the same chart? Anyone wants to try answering that?
Go for a blend access.
Yes, not the blend axis, but the dual axis here.
Access, yes.
So dual axis is something that when we want to combine 2 charts into one particular chart, then we use a dual axis. If we want to do more than 2, then we call it as a blended axis. Something that we'll see further. So let me just select dual axis from here, And okay, this is the problem that I expected. Okay.
Min max, right? On min and on max.
No, that won't be there. So that won't be there. Okay, let me try that. No, same problem is occurring. So basically, how I wanted is this. There is some problem with my. So it should copy from here only. Yeah, right. Now it will come. And now let me do the dual access part. Yeah, now it has. Again, this is also an important thing that you will also face the same problem what I was having just now. If you type the other one as well, okay, if you type the other one as well, then you might end up uh, getting the way we were getting it earlier, like this. They will merge. No, not like this. Okay, I think we surpassed that. So the earlier the way we were getting the first one and second one, and four from the first and four from the second, and we were ending up getting the eight labels here. So in order to avoid that, how should we do that? Is actually just click here, control, and put the other one here. I'm not sure why it is. This is the way it should be done. Okay, let me just do the undo part, and I have it here. So okay, so this is how you should do it. Maybe I am not having mouse right now, that's why I'm not able to do that. But yeah, it should be put this way only. You should control click, and then you should get it here. Otherwise, you might not get the other one here like this. Okay, now we have to do the dual access part, one over the other. And from the second one, okay, so remember I was telling you other in the previous one, I think in the funnel chart I was explaining you all the first visualization and the second one. So from the second one, I'll get the ship mode out of the colors. I'll decrease the size a bit. No, this is too much. And yeah, and let me change this color to white now. Okay, and hereby I have my donut chart ready with me. Now I can just yeah, remove these headers from here, and I have my donut chart ready. Let's say if I want to show a particular insight somewhere, let's say in the first one, I can have my, what is this, ship mode, right? Um, so I can have my ship mode on the labels part. Also, I can have my sales, right? Sales also on the labels part. And maybe this sales, I can do a percentage, quick table calculation, percent of total. So this way I can represent it through a donut chart. Okay, any question on this? So the main two things that you need to remember is how to create a fake axis. Okay, just type a 1 here, do a minimum here in the measure part. And the second thing would be, just when you're duplicating this one, make sure you control click and then you get it here. These two things are important. And then the final step would be dual axis. Once you reach dual axis, then you have to take out the dimension from the colors part, and in the colors part select it to white, and then in the first one you can, whatever you want to show, you can show it. And let's say in the inside part you want to see show the total sales, so let us show the total sales like this. Okay, any questions on this? Okay. Okay, so I think probably the last chart for the day is actually the bar and bar chart. Okay, so let's say this is particularly used when we want to show two particular measures in one graph. Okay, so then we can use this chart. And also, so let us see how we can build it. Then I'll give you more insight on this. Let me just have a new sheet. So in here I have my subcategory wise sum of sales here. Right? Yeah, and also the sum of profit is what I have side by side. Okay, so by default Tableau will give me this chart. Okay, if let's say if I want quantity here, it will give me this way. Okay, but let's say I don't want this, and if I do a dual axis from here, I'll end up getting a chart like this. Okay, I can do it with the dual axis as well. Let me make it to bar here, and in one of the bar I can, okay, so the one important step after dual axis is you need to synchronize it right away. Okay, and let's say for the first one, let me just decrease the size a bit. Okay, and for the second one, I'll let it remain like this. Or let's say if you want to increase it, I would not recommend to increase the size, but let's say if you want to increase a bit, you can increase it. So again, this same graph is representing the same thing. Okay, like what we were having it here. So this is exactly the same graph here. And as we can see, so we have these many amounts of sales represented by the orange bars, and then we have blue bars representing our profits here. Okay, again, a different representation of the bar chart there, but again, depends upon what kind of data that you have. So if we have good data there, then we can actually go with this one. Okay, and similar to this, let's say if instead of this, you want a side-by-side bar chart, then you can go to the show me part and select this one. Then you have a side-by-side bar chart there. Okay, let me just make it entire view. Then you can see profit and sales, you can see it side by side if you want it this way. The previous one, for previous one, we were having this. No, this is not the correct one. Yeah, so the previous one, we had this one. Okay, any question on this? I think this is a fairly simple one. So if still anyone has any question on any of these, let me know.